Good afternoon. This is Jim Bell, President and Founder of Bell Investment Advisors. I'm here with my partner in life and work, Bonnie Bell. We thank you for joining us this afternoon. Our webinar today is Momentum for Life. And our business is based on a philosophy of momentum. And this language, Momentum for Life, is the evolution of our philosophy around momentum. We're going to be talking about that today. Just briefly, all organizations evolve, especially dynamic organizations, and it's our pleasure today to share this evolution with you. Just briefly, in a very short phrase, momentum and our philosophy of momentum is about aligning yourself with what is working and quitting with what is not working. So before we move on, just a little bit of housekeeping. We will have time for questions and answers at the end. You can submit questions in your GoToMeeting control panel. You can listen to the slides and webinar via your phone or computer speakers. If you're using your phone and you're having audio problems, we usually find if you just hang up and dial back in, that should clear that up. If you are having technical difficulties, you can call our office at 800-700-0089. So Bonnie, please begin by talking about what is a good life and what it means to us and our clients.
And I want to just back up a little bit and say hi to a lot of former clients and friends that I noticed are attending today. And I'm so glad that you are. And if you've done any work with us, you realize that it's interactive. So while we're kind of hampered here that we can't see you and we can't talk to you directly, I really want to encourage you to take notes on what we're talking about and to make it relevant to your life. So rather than just listening passively, if you can really connect to what we're talking about, we really want to get our strategy and our philosophy clear with you because, as Jim said, this has evolved over the years. So we now realize that our investment strategy, which is momentum-based, also works in the other areas of your life. So there's a way to begin to have a strategy that helps you have the kind of life you want. So on your first slide, you're going to see this basic philosophical question. So I don't know if all of you are familiar with this. I was pretty late in life when I discovered this or learned about this, but philosophy is not really reserved for the ivory tower. Most of you have a philosophy. You may not realize what it is, but the basic question of all philosophies is really, what is a good life? So many philosophers have told you what a good life is from their point of view. But actually, you're the only one that can decide what a good life is for you. So I want you to begin thinking about that and take notes. If when we're done today, you can do some work on this, and you'll be amazed at how close to the surface some of these questions are. They're not really abstract. So to really make it simple, a way to think about what's important in your life is to think about just these three basic questions. So if you can do well at managing these three areas of your life, you're going to have a pretty good life. So to just narrow it down rather than a million things to think about, it's about where you live. So it's your actual place that you live, I believe. Geography is important. The space you live in is important. Then what you're doing for a living, so your career, your work, which we at Bell think is just a basic financial asset. And people often don't think of career that way. So career is the source of your money. It's the source of your power. If it's working, it's a great thing. If it's not, it's not. So all of these dimensions affect every other dimension. A third thing is who you're with. So it doesn't mean you have to be with somebody, but it's about how you think of you're going to do life with certain people that you choose above other people. So it includes family, friends, where you live, who's supporting you. So these are 3 areas that I say you can manage. I think your real job in life is to manage your life. So when you start out at a young age, you're not capable of doing that. But as you evolve in age and stage of life, we want you becoming wiser and more powerful, more able to manage these questions. So this is an effort to make it simple. It's not such a huge thing. I think many people decide that it's overwhelming to think about these things, so they don't. So what we're doing today is really simplifying it, and you can each think about these areas and what needs some planning and some strategy and some action. Another area that's important that a lot of times people don't pay attention to is what you care about, what your beliefs are, what you think is important in living a life. This is where quality comes in. And then another area that's really important, and I talk about a lot in my work, but I'm just going to touch on it. It's about getting clear about the things you love to do. So those activities that you love to do that we're often taught they're not important because you should be over here working hard. True. But if you're in tune with the things that you love to do, you really need to do them because they're good for you. So getting clear about what you love and implementing those things or adding those things to your life is going to help you manage the rest of it. So think about it, and then I would challenge you to add something that you're not doing, that you might miss, that you used to love, and see what it does to your mood and making the rest of what you have to do work. Another concept that's really important here is to think about all of life as evolution. So we're not talking necessarily about biology, but anthropology, it all fits. Everything is growing and evolving all the time. So if you look at that, the questions that you have to answer change all the time. So you're never going to have the same answers like when you're 20 as you have when you're 30 or 40 or 50. So we have constant decisions to make. We have constant choices to make. We have to pay attention to what's working and what's not, those are 2 of the important questions about momentum that we'll talk about in a minute. But I think a lot of times people go through life and they think they made a choice that was a bad choice, and maybe they live to regret it, and the rest of their life is about making this terrible choice. But we really believe in all of our offers around money, around career, around life planning. They're all actions to be in. So I always say it's getting out of the angst and into the action of making the changes that you need to make. So being passive about these things is not going to work. I always say hope is not a strategy. And a lot of people just hope it will work out. I think we all want a good life, but it's not necessarily going to work out unless we take action on it. So these are questions you can think about and revisit. And there's a way to get help with them when you need it to get unstuck. I'm often doing that. So the basic questions of momentum, which actually relate to our investment strategy, this is a simple way of understanding that and how it applies to all of our offers. So what's working, what's not working, what's missing, what's now, and then you really have to have a plan and a strategy, or it's probably not going to happen. But if you think about your career, you can probably pretty quickly think about what's not working and what is working or what's missing. So I challenge you to really work with these questions and see how easy it is to get to the answers. So these we're calling building blocks because these are all things that are important in building the momentum. It comes from getting clear. But it's not always easy to get clarity, and that's why sometimes you need help, because in conversation is often where people do get clear. once you have the clarity, it turns into the power to get you where you want to go. Energy is important, so rather than looking at a bad mood as something negative and bad that you need help with, often look at your energy. Look at what you're not doing that might help your energy and bring you to life. Another area is meaning, is not waiting for meaning to show up, but finding it, claiming it, committing to it, and remembering who you are and what you're doing and what's important to you.